Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Cybil.
And you're listening to Every Rom Com Now Streaming for May 2024.
Thanks for joining us today. Jen and I will be giving you some recommendations for rom-coms and rom-com adjacent movies and TV shows that are streaming right now.
Before we get started, I just want to remind people to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and go ahead and rate and review us too. We would love to know what you think of the show.
You can also follow us on social media. Our Facebook page is Every Rom-Com Podcast and Blog. Our Instagram is @EveryRomCom. Our Twitter handle is Every Rom-Com Pod. And we're also on Bluesky @EveryRomCom.
And now for the month of May 2024, we'll let you know what's streaming. And Cybil, what have you got for us first today?
My first pick is Purple Hearts that came out in 2022. It's streaming on Netflix right now. The director is Elizabeth or Liz Allen Rosenbaum. And I am always trying to pick movies that have female directors because we need more of them to be seen. It was the biggest Netflix opening in 2022, which I didn't know, but I know that I watched it and immediately told my mom to watch it. And she's like a born again Christian. So there's like a very small intersection of films that she can actually watch that I watch. And she loved it too. It is starring Nicholas Galitzine and Sophia Carson. It's a marriage of convenience story about a military man who needs a wife and a struggling musician who needs health care. They are, of course, at odds, but the romance between them has a lot of depth of character. And I really do appreciate that they show the opposites of their viewpoints, but like where they kind of can meet together and fall in love.
Yeah, I actually saw this movie too, just like last week, because I'd watched Nicholas Galitzine in another movie that I'm about to talk about. And I was like, I need to see more of this guy's work. And I also really enjoyed it. Like, I think, their differences are also political. And at times the political stuff kind of stretched my credulity at times, because definitely there are people who are political, but they're still open to other viewpoints. But we've become so polarized as a culture that I think that's becoming a lot more rare. But it was an interesting take on this opposites attract romance. And man, those two had a lot of chemistry, and the songs, like there's a lot of songs in this movie.
Yeah, the songs are good. Like I listened to the soundtrack.
Yeah, at first it wasn't my thing, but the more I listened to the more I watched the movie, the more I got into the music. Actually, it wasn't actually my thing at first, but it kind of I warmed to it, I guess. All right, well, thanks for bringing that one up, Cybil, because we're going to have a bit of a theme for a little while here on today's episode.
That we are.
My first pick also has Nicholas Galitzine. It's The Idea of You that just came out this year, 2024. It's currently available on Prime. And this movie, I wasn't like super looking forward to it going into it, but I watched it because, it's the new rom-com and people are going to be talking about it. I did not realize before watching it that it was directed by Michael Showalter. And had I realized that, I probably would have been much more into watching it right away, because he's a really strong rom-com director. Like he directed The Big Sick, he directed The Lovebirds, as well as the rom-com parody, The Baxter. And he directed one of the movies I talked about on our last show, spoiler alert, which is, more of a rom-dram, but it's just such a well-done romantic drama movie. I just think Michael Showalter shows a lot of respect for the rom-com genre. And he's also a co-writer on a lot of these films as well. He's a co-writer on this one with Jennifer Westfeld. So back to The Idea of You. It's based on a book by Robin Lee, and I have not read the book. I've heard that there are some differences between the book and the movie. And basically the concept is it's an age gap romance between an older woman and a younger male celebrity who's part of a boy band. And like that concept doesn't appeal to me like immediately, but I thought it was really well done in this movie. It was very thoughtful. There was a very interesting meet cute. And then I thought the way that it got to the ending was very realistic. It doesn't try to be this total escapist fantasy. You're dealing with issues that would come up in real life, like with people having a double standard against women dating younger, the kind of scrutiny you might face if you're dating a celebrity, and the way it might be hard to integrate that life with your family. So I thought it was really well done, very thoughtful. And I thought Anne Hathaway was just great here. The only complaint, and I've seen other women complain about this, is the idea that Anne Hathaway would appear to be at all too old to be dating this guy. She looks fantastic. So
She does look fantastic. In fact,
yeah.
in fact, she looks almost the exact same age as her daughter in this movie, which makes it hard for me to believe that her daughter is in like high school as a junior or whatever the heck she is.
Mm.
Um, I enjoyed this film very much. I did not think it stuck the end very well. Like I was like
Okay.
unhappy with kind of the ending, but I thought that their chemistry was incredible, and I thought that the kind of the romance scenes were incredibly like hot and well
Mhm.
done without like needing to show very much. Like once again, I could show this to my mom, and she'd probably be like, "Ooh, it's a little racy, but it's okay." And for me, like that's a scale that I put rom coms on sometimes. Can I show this to
Okay.
my mom? The next pick that I have is Red, White, and Royal Blue, which came out in 2023. It's on Prime. It is based on the book by the same name by Casey McQuiston, which is a far better book than movie, but the movie is like good. So the movie is still good. And it also has our dude Nicholas Galitzine. So it also has Sarah Shahi, who is one of my favorites, and Uma Thurman, which it's a really good film. It's about two men. One of them is an American, and one of them is the prince. Is a prince of England, and they meet and they realize that they have a lot of chemistry together, and they start like texting each other, and they start romancing each other. But they have to do it on the DL because they're both like high profile. Uma Thurman is a senator in Texas, and the other one's a prince of England, and it is incredibly good. And I think that they have such good chemistry that even if you're like, I don't know if this could be real, you would still enjoy it.
All right. We're finishing our Nicholas Galitzine run now. and And we'll move on to another movie that features maybe somebody who should be in a few more rom coms. This is going to be Anyone But You from 2023. And the man I'm thinking about here is Glen Powell, because I thought he was fantastic in this movie. And he's been recommended before when he appeared in Set It Up on a different episode of Now Streaming. But now that he's going to be in Twisters this summer, I don't know. We might lose him to the big action movies
Action
instead.
films, agree.
I just hope that there's a romance in Twisters like there was in Twister, because that would rock. But anyway, more on to Anyone But You. So this movie also has a director in common with one of last month's picks. This is directed also by Will Gluck, who directed Friends with Benefits that I recommended last month. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, this makes total sense, because these are both rom-coms that allow the characters to be sexually involved and that show some sex, some spicy stuff on screen. So maybe you won't be showing this one to your mom. I don't
No,
know.
absolutely not.
I really appreciate that, though. I think there aren't enough rom-coms that deal with the reality that people often have sex pretty early on in relationships, and how that can complicate things sometimes. I enjoyed it a lot. I also liked the Shakespeare modernization aspect of this movie. It is sort of very loosely based on Much Ado About Nothing. I thought that they did the parts where they reference Much Ado About Nothing very well. It's everything from like subtle things, like you'll see quotes on the side of buildings that are from the play, to having these scenes where they're trying to get the male and female character in this movie to hook up with each other, even though they're at odds. And they'll be having these fake conversations about how much one of them likes the other. So if you're familiar with Much Ado About Nothing, you'll remember that, especially from perhaps the Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson version. Now, I think they could have taken it even further. I don't think it's really a full Shakespeare adaptation, and I think they could have had a lot more fun with that. But I enjoyed the hints here and there. Now, I've talked about Glen Powell. I don't want to underplay Sydney Sweeney, because I think she's also very good here. I think she's gotten some kind of unfair flack. And I was talking to you about this before, Cybil. I think that actually she might be so hot that she actually turns off some rom-com viewers, because I really
Yeah,
feel like,
we had this conversation when I saw this. I also think that in this film she is a sexual aggressor, and that is hard for her in this film. And I think she does a great job.
how do you mean?
So
Yeah.
like she likes sex. She's like very much like let's have sex,
Mhm.
and she's not afraid of her sexuality, and I think that makes it harder. And she's like a very strong female character.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of this from women too, though. So I'm wondering if there's like, maybe there are women uncomfortable with that, but I think it's also like, I think women sometimes like these like kind of more girl next door type rom com heroines that maybe feel less threatening in some way. I don't know. I hate to say it because like I you
Yeah.
know I don't want to get down on my other women out there, but I do feel like there's sometimes that women who are very sexy and pretty sometimes get a little bit of hate that's a little bit
Yeah.
unfair. And I think she does a great job in this. I think
I
she and
think she
Glen
was
Powell.
phenomenal. We talked about this, and I was like, I think she was great. And I mean, I'm not paying attention to what people are saying. So hey, if you're biased out there, maybe check yourself if you don't realize it.
Yeah, I think she and Glen Powell have great chemistry. I
I
think they're
do
super
too.
fun. I would love to see them specifically do more movies or either of them work with other people in future rom-coms. Like also like this, if you want a fun kind of wedding rom-com fantasy escapist kind of movie, this will also work for you. I will say that these people are obscenely rich and
Yes, this is a
usually
destination wedding. It's one of those.
yeah, usually that really bothers me in a rom-com, but here like it was fun enough that it didn't bother me. And there's some really fun song stuff at the very end of the movie too that I just loved. So yeah.
All right, Sybil's third pick this time is Love at First Sight. Came out in 2023. It's streaming on Netflix. It is from the writer of To All the Boys, Always and Forever, which is my favorite one of it's a favorite film of that series, which is why I decided to watch this because I really looked at this and was like, I don't know if this looks like my kind of jam. But you know what? I loved it. It did not disappoint. It is about two strangers who meet when traveling to London for kind of like different emotionally weighted events. So I don't want to ruin anything, but they're both going to London for different things. And they meet and they kind of fall in love at first sight, but the universe is both trying to pull them together, and at the same time there's literally fate is pulling them back, is pushing them back together. And there is a character who plays essentially fate, who's like the narrator. It's very sweet, it's funny, the character development. What I like about a good rom-com is when you actually know a lot about the characters. Like they're not just
Mm.
like there for each other. They have a lot of like depth of backstory. And so this one, they have a lot of depth of backstory, and they exist outside of each other and like get to know each other within a very short period of time because everything is so heightened. And I thoroughly enjoyed this film.
I think isn't Haley Lou Richardson in this one?
I do not know either of these actors, and I did not care who they were. So I
I
don't
th-
know.
well, I think Haley Lee Richardson is in this one, if I'm not mistaken, and
It's possible.
Sydney Sweeney from my pick. They're both from different seasons of The White Lotus, so maybe this is the White Lotus to rom com pipeline happening here. I don't know.
Possible. Well, once again, I would not have watched this at all, except for it was by a writer who I was like, I really like something she did, so I was in it.
I think that's smart. Like, I think a lot of times we will go and watch rom coms that have the same actors, but like a lot of what makes a rom com great is the script. So it makes
Yeah,
sense to go and follow like who is the screenwriter and like follow them to their next work too. So
yeah, and
yeah.
I do tend to follow writers because I think that writers don't get enough credit for the work that goes into making something amazing.
Wait, so who was the writer of this though?
Oh,
Who
that's
is
great. I don't know. Hold on, I have to go look it up. I just have like a Google alert on the writers I really like. You're right. Haley Lee Richardson and Ben Hardy are in this. So, and the writer is Katie Lovejoy and Jennifer E. Smith, but it's Katie Lovejoy. So Katie Lovejoy is the writer, and then the other one is Jennifer E. Smith. She was co-wrote.
cool, cool. Well, good. And two female writers too. Fantastic. So well, you're joining
Yeah,
them. All right. My third pick is probably going to be like the most drama centered of the picks we have today, but that does not mean that it's going to be depressing. Okay. I'm just going to let you know that. My third pick is called God's Own Country from 2017. It is currently on Hulu and on Tubi. And I watched this to see more work from Josh O'Connor, one of the lead actors in the recent movie Challengers. I thought he was like a good actor. I also, confession, I also thought he was pretty hot. So I went to find more work from Josh O'Connor. And this movie, I liked it better than Challengers. I thought it was so well done. So, such an in depth portrait of these characters and a particular landscape. Basically, it's a story of a young man who works on his family farm, and he's coming to terms with trying to accept that he's gay and accept that he's falling in love with this worker that's brought onto his farm. Like, there's obviously, like, he has a lot of conflicts about his sexuality, but the interesting thing about this movie is that almost everything is subtext. Like, he never comes out and says, oh, I feel weird about being gay, and people don't like openly like gay bash him or anything, but there's always this sort of subtle sense through the movie that he's uncomfortable with his sexuality. He's
Yeah, there's a lot of
uncomfortable.
eyeline work in this. Like if you watch it, there's a
Okay, you've
ton of
seen it
eyeline
too.
work. Yeah,
You've seen
there's
it
a
too.
ton of
Okay.
eyeline work in this.
Yeah, you get a lot of feelings like he's uncomfortable with who he is, and then you also get feelings like his discussions with his family are never really out in the open, but there's always this sort of subtle sense that they're discouraging him from being who he is, but not openly saying it. So it's very interesting, and it's probably very true to what a lot of people experience in this day and age. I really thought this was such a beautiful, sensitive movie. It has a lot of common threads with Call Me by Your Name, which came out the same year, and with Brokeback Mountain, because they're also sheep herding in this movie. I don't know why I'm laughing. I just think it's funny. Like the world of sheep herding is like this thing, I guess. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful love story. There's some definitely dark moments in it too, and Sybil's mom and anyone who doesn't want to see like explicit sex scenes definitely doesn't want to watch this movie. But if you appreciate realistic sex scenes, like, this movie will be your jam. And I found O'Connor's performance here just immensely impressive. I found all the actors' performances impressive too, but he is the main actor and he really steals the show. So yeah, God's Own Country, I really recommend it.
All right. My final pick for this week's streaming is Two Night Stand. Came out in 2014. It is currently on Tubi, so go watch it for free, y'all. It's starring Miles Teller and Leo Tipton. A one-night Tinder date gone wrong due to a snowstorm. Okay. And so they, instead of like them just like having a one-night stand, they wind up having to spend an extra day and night together. It is super cute. It is like really, really adorable. They have amazingly good chemistry together and the funniest dialogue. Like it is very rare that a rom-com has me laughing this hard. I just like the whole time I was just busting up, and I wound up watching this again because I hadn't seen it in so long, and I laughed again, and I even knew the lines were coming, and I still thought it was hysterical. And I also like that our female protagonist is like, she is like the laziest girl. She's like this person who's like, she doesn't even want to date. It's really hard for her to go out and do things. She like, her friends are even telling her like, you need to get out of the house, go do stuff. So she decides she's going to finally like, I guess I'll go on this Tinder date because it seems easy enough. And then it winds up being incredibly difficult. And I appreciated all the kind of stuff that goes around that. It was like the universe was calling her to like meet this guy. I would really highly recommend it if you wanted just something fun to watch in the background and laugh at.
That's great. No, I don't think every rom-com needs to be funny, but I appreciate when one genuinely is.
Yeah.
Also, if you wanted to do a double feature, you could do this with Anyone But You, and then you'd have a Guys Who Were in the Movie Maverick double feature.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. You absolutely could.
We're having a lot of connections.
He's very charming. He's a very charming guy.
Yeah, I like him in Spectacular Now, Miles Teller. I thought he was
he's great in that.
All right, my fourth and final pick is also a movie that makes me laugh a lot. It is I Want You Back from 2022, and I feel like I've name dropped this movie so much on the show that I felt like I'd already covered it on Now Streaming, but I could not find where I had. So hopefully I'm right and I haven't covered this already. But this movie is so good. If anyone hasn't seen I Want You Back yet, which is on Prime, you really need to go and check it out. For me, it is the best rom-com that has been out in the 2020s so far, and it would be in my top 5 of movies rom-coms that have come out since the year 2000 even. I just think it is so well written and so well acted. It's the 2 stars, Jenny Slate and Charlie Day, are just really relatable people. Like, they're very imperfect and kind of dorky and adorable at the same time. They only actors like this would be able to pull off this plot too, because this is one of these stories where people are dumped and they meet up with each other and they make a plan that they're going to try to like break up the other person's relationship so they can get back with their exes. Like, these movies can go really badly. Like Addicted to Love, oof, I do not recommend that. But this movie, like, they're just so relatable and dorky that you just kind of, you're with them. And also the way they get broken up with, you kind of feel sad for them. There's also just so much comedy in this movie, like a lot of hilarious moments. Right near the beginning of the movie is one of my favorite karaoke scenes I've ever seen, where these two are just like talking about their breakups and getting drunk and singing these sad songs together and in a little karaoke room. Fantastic. There's also, like, right near the beginning, there's a scene where you think Jenny Slate has woken up with Charlie Day, but in fact, she's woken up with this box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And she leans over and she's like, "You again." And like, I don't, and like, as somebody who's like been addicted to Cinnamon Toast Crunch, this movie just like, it understood me like right away. And then there's also this fantastic middle school musical music number involving Jenny Slate, which my husband like walked in from the other room. He works from home, but he heard it playing and he had to come out of his work and like come and watch that part, because like that's how funny it is. So totally recommend this movie. So funny. And the supporting cast are also great. I think Scott Eastwood and Manny Jacinto are standouts in the supporting cast. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about this movie. I always feel like I'm failing to do it justice whenever I talk about it, because that's how much I love it. So anyway, everybody, if you like what you've heard today, please subscribe to our show and rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Or drop us a line at feedback@everyromcom.com. We would love to hear what you're streaming and loving these days.
And stay tuned. Soon we'll be releasing our first episode in the LA Stories series on Valley Girl. We'll also be doing episodes on other LA-based rom-coms, including LA Story, Pretty Woman, 500 Days of Summer, and more.
Until next time, take care and happy streaming.
Bye, guys.